Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another patch notes video for EVE Echoes, and today is the big one. The May balance update is finally here. Now, I have not read through these notes yet. I am doing this video as kind of a live reaction so I can talk about it in as natural and a flowing way as possible with my genuine emotions here on top. Now, I have been talking to Joseph, who's the community support manager for EVE Echoes, quite a bit recently, and he has given me some warning regarding a few of the notes here, because I know there are going to be some things that people are a little bit unsure about, or maybe don't go down overly well, but there is a reason for that, and there is more information to be had. I've had a great conversation with him. I'm feeling a lot better about things, and hopefully when those notes arise, I can talk about it with you guys and give you guys the same kind of comfort and understanding that I now have as well. And I will try and put screenshots on to back this up so that you don't think I'm talking out of my backside. Anyway, as usual with a patch notes, thoughts and analysis video when I do it, two things to bear in mind. One, there's going to be very few flashy graphics on screen, maybe a few screenshots here and there, but otherwise it's going to be a podcast. Two, these are my thoughts and opinions only. They may differ from yours, you may have different traction. It is just my thoughts, just my opinions. Please bear that in mind as we go forward. If you enjoy the video, hit like on it, sub to the channel for all things EVE Echoes, ding the notification bell to never miss an upload, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these notes, and come support me on Patreon and the Redbubble merchandise store if you want to help the channel out by going that extra step. That said and done, let's jump straight in, and as I said, this is my first time now actually looking at the notes. I saw it pop up, I closed it immediately, I then started to record, so here we go. Let's load into the patch notes and actually read what these are. So, added a 1 million free skill reset quota to make the game more balanced, valid until May 31st, 2021. Okay, so they've kept it at 1 million. I did actually talk with the developers about this and suggested that perhaps 1 million might be on the lower side of things. I did suggest perhaps a 3 million, because 3 million gives you the ability to train out of one small weapon system completely, well, not completely, but gives you a good amount of SP to train out of something into something else, like if you've been shield tanking because armor tanking just sucked and you really want to go back to armor tanking, that's awesome. What I was basically told here is that they don't want to go majorly into giving massive free respecs for two reasons, and no, it's not the financial value. The financial value of this, by the way, is about $12 US, so do take that into consideration. I think that is a good way of looking at it. It's $12 US off any respec you would otherwise want to do. And remember, you earn skill points over time, so quite frankly, nothing that you've already trained is wasted. Secondly, nothing in the patch has actually been destroyed or ruined or taken away. Yes, okay, we saw that I'd lost, like, the interdictor destroyers, which were something that I was using there, but I don't want to train out of, you know, small turrets just because I don't have a Thrasher interdictor good at combat anymore. Same with other nerfs and buffs and changes around the board. Nothing that you were using before is now useless. Nothing in the patches becomes useless. And if they do then turn around and say, well, actually, we're going to give you a full respec and things like that, it promotes chasing a meta. And even if a meta doesn't really exist, if you give free skill points and give people the impression that a meta does exist, you set up a very dangerous situation where people are just going to all respec into that one particular thing. If you have someone sit there and tell you that, oh, by the way, railguns are the meta now, or missiles are the meta now, or decomposers are the meta now, there's going to be a massive amount of people who completely respec into that new thing and then ultimately end up disappointed when it's balanced or changed, or heck, just they try it out and go, oh, this is terrible, why did I get rid of everything that I had before? Anyway, I'm spending a lot of time there on point 1, let's move on. Added a new ship tree for tier 10 ships. So it looks like the Tech 10 ships aren't going to be just on the top of the ship tree, they will actually have their own unique branch, which I think is cool as it allows us to actually see those as a separate entity. I've said before, I don't personally agree with this concept of Tech 10 are just the better versions of everything, but if that's how NetEase are going to do it, we have to accept that, and you just accept that your early run is using the less optimal ships at the current tech level, you learn with those, then you get the big expensive one that is the best option. And okay, it's not the way I would do things. You guys know if you've watched my content, I would much prefer that the best ships, like for pure combat, be around Tech 7, and anything higher than Tech 7 ends up being specialised, like the E-War, the Logistics, the Guardians, that kind of thing. But if this is how NetEase are going to do it, the one thing I do think that, you know, me thinking about this a lot, and I want to just kind of throw out there as kind of a, well, at least it's this. This way you can look at it the same way that, like, some people have said, when I've said, what's the point in a tornado when you can fly a tornado too? And people have said, cost. And it's quite right. If you look at something like the difference between having a Stabber fleet issue or a Stabber 2, in a call to arms engagement, which one are you most likely to undock and lose in PvP? Yeah, it's going to be the Stabber, isn't it? The fleet issue, the Tech 6 one, not the Tech 10 because of cost involvements. So yeah, the Tech 10 ships are flat out better than the previous versions of them, but arguably there are still reasons to fly the lower versions as well. I'm not overly happy about it, but that's the way I'm kind of telling myself to think about it, so that it kind of makes it feel less of a sting at that point. Yeah, I could fly a Stabber 2, but it's going to cost a lot more than a Stabber fleet issue would, so for PvP the Stabber fleet issue has a place, etc. Anyway, number 3, added industry jobs and reverse engineering jobs for Tech 10 ships and freighters. Key point there, and freighters. Separate Tech 10 ships and freighters. Added blueprints of all Tech 10 ships, added freighter and freighter blueprint categories in market. Of course, you've got to have all of those things available to actually make them. The tech level requirement for reverse engineering freighter blueprints, manufacturing and using freighters has been changed from Tech 10 to Tech 9. That's awesome. I know a lot of people were really excited about flying and building freighters, but then going, oh, it's Tech 10, that's still months away, there's nothing exciting in this patch for me. Yes, there is. You now get freighters at Tech 9. That's pretty cool. I'm going to be excited to see these things flying around as of, well, probably not tomorrow, because they're going to take a while to build and manufacture, but within the next few days we'll start seeing freighters moving around. And then when scanning gets added in, I can't wait to grab one of these in, like, you know, like low sec or null sec, where I think they're nice and safe. I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting my first freighter kill for the first person who decides that actually they can probably take a freighter through null sec, right? That's going to be a thing. Anyway, pretty cool. Freighters are now down to Tech 9. Added a delivery hangar in the in the history log of industry jobs, showing which corporation hangar the job was delivered to. Nice. Just a little bit of clarity of information. Number 7, added engineering rigs to the Guristus Inquisitor. So the Guristus Inquisitor just got a little bit more lucrative to run. You've got better rigs, well, more rigs available in there now, which is pretty sweet. Number 8, when an asset delivery is triggered at an outpost, it destroys all shipping containers at that outpost. I think this is when it's kind of, is this to do with, when they say asset delivery, it's when an outpost gets destroyed, and thus the assets are delivered to an ITC. Therefore, any shipping containers that were there just get flat out destroyed because the value's a little bit wonky and off. I'm not entirely sure. As I said before, freighting is one of the aspects of EVE Echoes that I really am not clued up on. I do need to actually sit down at one point and really play around with freighting. If you have information about freighting, do contact me on Discord. I'd love to know more about it. Number 9. Due to changes made to some pirates' defensive capabilities, the rewards and combat difficulty of some encounter missions have been adjusted accordingly. This is excellent. This now means that you are going to be earning more ISK from those combat encounters. And again, I know people are saying, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to do them in a couple of weeks when scanning comes along. Yeah, you are. There you are, there are still defences for scanning in low sec. You can still fit modules and that stop you being scanned down so easily. You can still fit warp stabilizer modules, that kind of thing. People were sitting there complaining that warp disruptors ruined the game, then they discovered warp core optimization rigs. It's just one of those things you have to decide, do you want to go full min-max on your combat capabilities, or do you want to add some safety to pull away from scanning and things like that? It's going to change the game. It's not going to destroy the game. And if you are that averse to PvP, well, you can see here that going into high sec, the fact that some of those encounters are going to be a little bit more like the rats have higher defenses means you're going to be earning more money from them. Again, yes, the rats have higher defenses, but I think we are getting a buff to most of our weapon systems as well, which does help cancel that out. So it's just an increase to cost, to reward, sorry. Number 10, added a reminder that contracts require items to be repackaged. Cool, just basically when you go to send something in a contract, it's going to tell you, sorry, you can't send that, please repackage it, rather than just a sorry, you can't send that, and leave you guessing as to why. Number 11, added a new sorting option that allows you to view storyline missions you haven't completed in encounters. Huzzah! I like this. Anything that allows me to sort and organise and point out which of these missions I still need to do is an excellent change. Hopefully that now means I can sit there and when I refresh my encounters, I can go, oh, I need that one, and I need that one. It's a little bit far away, but I need it for the scroll or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, let's go do that one. That is a good change. Number 12. The expiry time of the logistics container has been adjusted from a fixed 24 hours to a dynamic value, calculated as expiry time equal to round up jump count divided by 10. This is good. This means that if you want to send something and you're getting someone to deliver it for you, they deliver it in a much shorter time scale. And if they don't deliver it in that time because it's close, and the closer it is, the less you'll have to wait if no one actually picks it up. That's cool. I like that change. That just helps people to actually use those delivery options a bit more. Number 13, the trigger time of system logistics is adjusted from a fixed 2 hours to a dynamic value calculated as trigger time equals expiry time times 10%. Again, I don't really know logistics and freighting. Someone can probably explain this in the comment section better than I can, so if you're confused and you're into freighting, do check the comments down below. If you have an answer for what this means, please let me know in the comment section down below. That way anyone who is confused can check your details down there as well. That'd be really cool to help each other out. Number 14, reduced the cost of logistics containers. Distance modifier adjust from 1 to 0.25 in high sec, from 2 to 1 in low sec. This again is really cool. Looks like freighting's getting quite a few buffs here. The containers are getting cheaper, the delivery times are getting shorter for people who want to use it, so that should drive people to actually get things delivered. I'm all for this. Anything that is a good change to a system like that is it's a good change. I mean, freighting is primarily an AFK pursuit in high sec. It's almost entirely safe, unless of course you go into low sec, but even then in low sec it's completely safe, because you're jumping from gate to station, which means, because stations and gates have guns and sentries, you're not going to get caught. You are not at risk of PvP if you're doing freighting in low sec and high sec, which I'm all for. It's a completely safe way of making ISK and completely AFK, so it helps casual players out that little bit more. Number 15, now the corporation members list will not reset after removing members or configuring positions. Thank you. This is so annoying to scroll down a list, find the person who you want to kick them, and then it scrolls you all the way back up to the top again. You have to scroll down to find where you were before in order to keep checking things. Oh, horrid. Glad they've changed it. Huzzah, thank you. Number 16, added estimated prices according to current market transaction records. Of course, the manual update there of current market transactions. 17, now the navigation menu will pop up when you tap on the numbers of jumps displayed in the Interstellar Trading Center list in market. Cool, it helps you to navigate to where you want to go that little bit easier. 18, added proper resources for capital ship components. Huzzah! Again, that's helping you to build those freighters. We've got the proper information there, so that you know exactly what it is you need to work for. Added an icon for capital ships. This is the overview icon, like for example it's the triangle for frigates, the triangle with the line under it for destroyers, and the chevron for battleships, that kind of thing. They've got their own unique icon now. All for that. Happy days. Number 20, capital ship component manufacture and freighter manufacture are now live in the game. Blueprints for capital ship components are now available in the market. Capital ship component building skills have been added. So have at it, folks. Start building some freighters. I can't wait to hear the adventures that you guys are having in building and flying freighters. 21, added command bursts and blueprints in market and industry jobs. Yay, command bursts are here. Been very excited about this for a while. 22, added command bursts to scout box drops. A reason now to actually do those scout anomalies, whereas a lot of people were basically just leaving them because the Inquisitors were better and the scouts sometimes weren't worth the time. This now means, yes, please do those scouts, because I want to have command bursts on the market that I can just buy them nice and easily, or grab them from corp mates and things like that. Yes, happy about this. Command burst is there. They're adding a reason to do scout anomalies a bit more. Yay. Added command burst related skills. Good. And hopefully they've fixed the actual names and the details on how that all works. I need to do a video on those because the destroyer bonuses and that were just absolutely terrible on the test server. I'm looking forward to seeing those now on live. I'm looking forward to flying those. Those are one of the things I've really been looking forward to flying. They're in this patch. Huzzah, I can't wait to see them. Added freighter skills such as operation, engineering, defense, and manufacture. Of course, if you're able to fly freighters, you can do those. Those should be locked at Tech 9 now, not Tech 10. And text content update regarding Japan's Payment Services Act. I think this is to do with like microtransactions in games and things like that. Japan changed their law recently, so there's now text in game to help Japanese players out navigating and understanding those changes. Cool. Now the meat. Ship adjustments. Number 1, for the Balgorn, each level advanced large beam laser operation now increases large beam laser damage by 18 instead of 15. Boost there for the Balgorn. Not that it needed it, but hey, I don't think anyone's going to complain that their Balgorn is getting even better. The Nightmare, and again, the advanced large beam laser operation now increases large beam laser by 12% instead of 10%. Good, the Nightmare has a very low DPS. Now, it's still going to be lower than the other ships at that sort of tier due to how amazingly tanky it is, but It is a damage boost, which I think a lot of Nightmare pilots are going to enjoy. It's a very expensive ship. Having the capability to kick out a little bit of extra damage is always nice. Number 3 is the Macariel. Large cannon damage has gone from up to 6% instead of 5%. Again, it's a nice boost there to the damage. Looks like they're all getting buffs. Vindicator goes from 14% to 12% increased damage, and the Rattlesnake. Okay, the Rattlesnake gets quite a few changes. So for the Vindicator, the Macariel, the Nightmare, and the Balgorn, that's straight up additional damage on their weapon systems, which I'm all for. That's cool, that's nice changes. For the Rattlesnake, though, each level of advanced large drone operation now increases large drone damage by 12% instead of 10%. Each level of advanced battleship command now increases kinetic and thermal damage on missiles and torpedoes by 12% instead of 10%. Again, it's straight up increase there of damage on your drones and on your missiles, which just means those battleships are that little bit more powerful, which helps them stand out a little bit above where the other battleships at Tech 10 would be. It means that these are going to be firmly the best battleships in the game still, if you can afford to get them, which I'm all for. Increased the shield, armor, and hull of all Blood Raider, Angel, Serpentis, Santia, and Gurustus ships by 10%. Good, that means things like the Dramiel and the Succubus are now getting tankier as well, which is all nice. Nice to get buffs to those. Reduced the power grid required by all large remote armor repairers by roughly 20%. Nice, they're easier to fit. Increased the base velocity of all destroyers. Good. This was a change that, okay, I get it. Destroyers are not in a good place. Still, these buffs from what we saw on the test server were still not enough, but buffs in the right direction are still buffs. We'll get there eventually. Keep giving your feedback. One of the things that Joseph did say to me was that, yes, they have listened to the feedback. The developers literally went through every single piece of feedback with a fine-tooth comb and picked out what they agreed with, what they disagreed with. They've looked at it, and there are going to be more changes later on. But considering a lot of these changes reference ships that we can't fly for a while, they're not doing a lot of changes here to the balance patch, was what they said. They are going to be adding more frequent updates in the future, but there's a lot of content in the pipeline still to come. So, yeah, it's nice that we get a base velocity increase to all destroyers. It's not enough to make destroyers truly viable. Like, I like destroyers. I play destroyers. I still have fun with destroyers. This is therefore a buff. I'm enjoying using destroyers as they are. They need buffs. This is a buff. It's not everything that they needed, but it helps. It means destroyers are better than they were before. I was still having fun with destroyers before, so now I'm going to be having better fun with destroyers. Slightly reduced the capacity of the Dominics. I know a lot of people there are going to be like, oh, what, more Dominics nerfs? Yes, the Dominics ultimately has a very big capacitor. It is a ship that is completely safe. You can sit with the Dominics at maximum range, sniping with sentry drones. Then if a ship comes in at close range, you can swap it to medium or even small drones to help you apply damage and rip apart whatever target gets there. The Dominics is by far the most versatile of all of the battleships in the game, not including the Rattlesnake. It is by far the most versatile of all battleships in the game. It is also incredibly tanky, has exceptional range. It cannot have everything. That's why its DPS was dialed back, and it's why here they're bringing the capacitor down a bit as well. Being capacitor stable in all kinds of crazy situations was a little bit much. It meant that you could really put some very high power weaponry onto the Dominics, things like lasers and decomposers, and actually get away with it really, really well. I don't think this is a big problem. Again, I know a lot of people are flying Dominixes and still enjoying flying them on the test server. I don't think anyone was complaining that the Dominix was only just about cap stable. So nerfing the capacitor, I don't think is going to remove the Dominix from play altogether. We'll see when we see the actual numbers, but I caution any Dominix pilots here not to knee-jerk reaction into, oh my god, they've nerfed my Dominix. Bear with it. Try it. See how it actually has changed things, because on paper, these nerfs are incredibly minor, and it's more to bring into line with other ships and mean that you're not just able to clear the top tier content with ridiculous speed. All ships' shield armor and structure have been increased by 5%. That's in addition to the other buffs here, like to the pirate faction frigates, which is pretty cool. Reduced the number of weapon slots of all heavy interdictors, down to added one mid slot, boosted shields armor and structure, increased flight velocity, and reduced signature radius, so they're sort of tankier and more survivable, but they do less DPS, which makes sense. I've said this before, the heavy interdictors ultimately the fact that you could solo as a gate camp was a little bit too powerful. One Celestis Interdictor sitting on a gate should not be able to do as much damage as it does. An Interdictor should be part of a fleet. A gate camp should be a fleet-based activity. I get that, because otherwise you can just have one ship on every gate in, like, a massive system, and you just don't have to worry about it, which... it's a problem. It's a problem. Gate camps shouldn't be that easy to set up that effectively. Now we get to the light interdictors having 2 slots instead of 4. They get 4 low slots now instead of 3, shields, armor structure have been boosted, yada yada yada. This to me is where I kind of disagree, because the light interdictors weren't able to create solo gate camps. If I jumped into a gate camp and it's just one Cormorant interdictor sitting there, I'm laughing. Most of my frigates could take that out. I know most of my destroyers are comfortable to, to deal with that threat, or at least to tank it far enough to get out of range. Cruisers, battle cruisers, and battleships laugh and just lock you and destroy you. So I don't get why they did this, because that took away the only small turret combat destroyers available after tech level 5, which I still think is a problem. But I have been assured fixes to that are coming, so we'll see. Sniper destroyers at tech level 6 now have 2 mid slots instead of 3, and 4 low slots instead of 3. This is a change that I agree with. I think this is okay. I think the loss of a mid slot on a sniper makes sense, because they don't really need that much in the way of E-War. They're snipers, they're supposed to be sitting at range, they're not tackle ships. That's fine. My problem comes with the assault destroyers at tech level 7. The 3 mid-slots fixes one of the big problems that these destroyers had, in that they didn't have enough mid-slots to deal with what they wanted to do. The trouble is, they've taken away a low slot to do it, which removes propulsion, weapon upgrade, or tank. Pick one. And it was already a tough pick for an assault destroyer. It fixes one problem, causes a whole load of others, in my opinion, and I did try out things like the Talwar Assault and the Corax Assault, the Tech 7 versions, as well as the Tech 10 variants, on the test server, and I didn't like them. It felt like it fixed the problems with things like capacitor and the inability to tackle someone, but it made you even more fragile if you didn't get rid of your weapon upgrades, and it made you even lower DPS if you had to try and fit your tank. It creates whole new problems and doesn't help those destroyers out. The mid-slots is great, the loss of the low slot really hurts. Now, the boosted shield and armor and structure of destroyers by 4.55 and the increased flight velocity is nice. That's pretty cool. We really, really like that. These are great changes there. Huzzah, and, it's a step in the right direction, folks. Yay for destroyers, I guess, but still need more. Still need more. The Stealth Bomber 2s have 4 high slots instead of 3, we saw that. The 8 new frigates have been added, the Heron, the Probe, Magnet, and Imicus Explorer, the Manticore, Hound, Purifier, and Nemesis 3, yep. 8 new destroyers, which are exactly what we saw before, the interdictors, which I don't think anyone asked for, and the assaults, which actually were really good. They're probably still not quite where I'd want them to be. The line I have used is that the Talwar 2 Assault is what the Talwar Assault should be. So if you took the Talwar 2 Assault and you moved it down to Tech 7, I would be happy. Then if you made the Talwar 2 Assault even better, I would just be ecstatic. That to me is how destroyers should have been at around Tech 7, Tech 8. But again, my personal opinion. I know some people are having great fun with some of these. The Dragoon 2 Assault, for instance, I had some stuff come through from Vachetti messaging me about the Dragoon 2 Assault, and the stuff that was happening there was just incredible. I can't wait to get into one of those in live. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think it's where it needs to be. I think it could do with some buffs and some changes, but it's exciting. It looks like it's going to be fun, if not, perfect. 12 new cruisers, the Caracal 2, Stabber 2, Omen 2, Vexor 2, the Osprey, Scythe, Augurer, and Ezekra 2, the Blackbird, Bellicose, Arbitrator, and Celestis 3 Covert Ops. Standard, it's what we saw. 12 new battle cruisers, the Ferox 2 Command, Cyclone 2 Command, Prophecy 2 Command, Myrmidon 2 Command, Drake Guardian, Hurricane, Harbinger, and Brutix Guardian, the Naga, Tornado, Oracle, and Talos 3. Again, we still have the issue here where the cruisers don't have any Tech 10 railgun cruisers, and the movement of the Guardians is slightly confusing. I get why they've done it, and I'm not going to complain. Most of these ships were fairly solid there. Again, with the Naga 3, Tornado 3, that kind of thing, I do sit there and go, well, literally, Tech 8 was the Naga, Tech 9 was the Naga 2, and Tech 10 is the Naga 3. They're the same ship, but just better. But again, it has been pointed out to me that, yeah, cost does make a difference. And if there's a PvP call to arms, I'm not as likely to undock my Tornado 3 as I am my Tornado 1. The problem there, though, is it does mean that when you've got a 3 version, and the reason I'm still against 3s is it completely gets rid of the 2. Because the Tornado 1 is the cheap one that you use as disposable for fleet actions. The 3 is the expensive one that you use for solo PvE. The 2 is the expensive one you use for solo PvE until you get the 3. So the 3 does completely outclass the 2, but the 1 does still have a place as the cheap one you use for PvP. It's why I disagree with the concept of 3s, but I don't mind having 2s at tech level 10. 6 new battleships have been added: the Maelstrom, the Tempest 2, the Typhoon 2, Dominix 2, Scorpion 2, and Armageddon 2, along with the Venture 4 and the Covet 2. I am still super sad to see here at number 22 that the Coercer, Catalyst, Cormorant, and Thrasher covert ops are still being removed. That still makes me so sad. I don't get why these are being removed. Like, literally, if NetEase did not remove these 4 ships, I would be so happy. I don't get why. No one has communicated to me as to why those ships need to be removed, and I just don't like it. It means that now, as it currently stands, there is nothing there at tech level 10 for small turret pilots. There's nothing. And there are no good turret destroyers after tech level 5 for combat. The Thrasher fleet issue is the last small cannon destroyer that is designed for combat. The Coercer navy issue, the Cormorant navy issue, and the Catalyst navy issue are the last of their line. After tech level 5, after those ships, there are no good turret destroyers. None for combat. You literally have the Interdictors. That's it. The Interdictors are the only thing, and they are definitely not combat because they've only got 2 bloody high slots. I'm so angry and confused about this still, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get Thrasher 2 fleet issue added at some point in a future patch. That would make me happy. I'm just sad to lose the covert ops. If you haven't watched my video on the Thrasher covert ops, I recommend you do, because I love that ship and I'm so sad that it's being removed. It's genuinely the ship I've been looking forward to flying since EVE Echoes launched, and now I'm never going to. Never on live, at least. Number 23, added 4 freighters: Providence, Fenrir, Charon, and Obelisk. Cool, we know those are being added. 4 new command destroyers: the Dragoon, Corax, Algos, and Talwar Command. Looking forward to flying these because I couldn't on the test server. I love my destroyers, so having some new ones is cool. It's just a shame that the only new ones that I'm getting that are at all exciting are all the drone and missile ones. Again, my small turret skills just go by the wayside. For 4 Interceptor 2 frigates, Advanced Electronic Warfare now increases the Warp Scrambler range, as we saw, and they are still getting the weapon damage increase, which they really don't need. I'm hoping that gets dialed back at some point in the future. It's ridiculous. There's no point flying anything other than these, basically. The faction frigates might have reasons to fly, but nothing else matters once you've got a Tech 10 Interceptor. Like, literally, I'm even going to say there that Tech 8 Interceptors don't matter, because, yeah, in PvP fleet stuff, I'm probably going to undock a Tech 10 Interceptor because it's just that good. It's that much better than the Tech 8 standard Interceptors are. I really don't get it. Interceptors do too much. They really do too much, and it just seems that NetEase don't agree with me on that. I don't know. Maybe I can change their mind in the future. Maybe we're going to get things like a Rifter 2, Tristan 2, that kind of thing, that do even more damage. That would be cool. That would be cool. At that point, I could understand the Interceptors being as powerful as they are, because if other frigates are going to be more powerful on the DPS and tank, but don't have the whole immunity to bubbles thing, that makes sense. So maybe that's happening. I can hope. I can dream, Harold! Don't sue me, ASDF. I can hope. I can hope. And for 4 Tech 10 Interceptor cruisers, they are now getting Interdictor cruisers, that is, sorry, and they're getting the buffs we saw. The Typhoon is getting buffs to its torpedo explosion velocity, which is good. That's a nice change for the Typhoon. I said that before. The Raven Striker, again, it's getting buffs. The Apocalypse Striker is getting buffs. The Megathron and all of those are getting buffs. The Strikers, which is cool, but again, it doesn't change much considering no one's been flying them. They're Tech 10 ships. No one's got one of these and is going, oh yeah, it's going to be better now. It's just going to be... It's going to be what they fly. The 29 bonus skill for Hyperion has been changed from Large Railgun Operation, Battleship Command to Advanced Large Railgun. It's Tech 10. They're basically moving all of the Tech 10 battleships to using advanced level skills. And they're getting little buffs to the actual bonuses there. That's for the Rock and for the Hyperion. They now use advanced skills rather than basic skills, but they are getting slight buffs to what those skills also give you, which makes sense. It's pretty cool. It means that the Tech 10 battleships require you to have advanced skills. It's not just jump into them as your first battleships. That's still going to be the Tech 9 battleships. The Abaddon and the Maelstrom, again, so let's actually have a look at these and unpack them. The Abaddon has changed Large Beam Laser to Advanced Large Beam Laser. It's getting buffs to them there, just to its optimal range, its damage, and its shield resistances have been increased. Then the Abaddon gets shield resistance. That's interesting, for a Mars ship to get shield resistance. Huh. Maelstrom now has one more mid-slot, which, again, pretty cool. I know a lot of people were like, what, the Maelstrom got moved, and sadly that's changed there, but no, heck, it's got the additional mid-slot there, which is pretty cool, and it's been changed to Large Cannon Operation. Hang on a second, wasn't the Maelstrom one that was removed? Let's have a look. Scroll back up. Where's the removed from the game? 9 ships have been removed from the game. The Coercer, the Catalyst, the Cormorant, the Thrasher, the Ferox, the Prophecy, the Myrmidon, the Cyclone, and the Maelstrom Striker. The Maelstrom Striker has now been removed? That's interesting. Was there one added that I missed? A Striker being added? No, the Maelstrom is being added at Tech level 10, and the Maelstrom Striker is being removed. So now there's no Minmatar Striker. That's... Oh, that's going to be interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Sorry, I completely missed that one. Wow. So there's no Minmatar Striker now. The Minmatar battleships do not have Striker. I'm hoping that the Maelstrom has still been removed and the Maelstrom Striker is what has been buffed here. Because the Striker having the siege mode, I'm all for. And yes, it made no sense having a Maelstrom and a Maelstrom Striker at Tech level 10. So... yeah, I get why the Maelstrom would be removed. Removing the Maelstrom Striker, I genuinely hope that is just a typo, and Minmatar do still have a Striker battleship, because that siege mode is really useful at shooting down enemy structures, hence its name, siege mode. But I'm really hoping that 32 here is the Maelstrom Striker, now has an additional mid-slot and all of these buffs and changes, and that the Maelstrom has still been removed, leaving the Maelstrom Striker in the game. Number 3, Badger 2, Badger 2 Sagil, Badger 2, Sigil 2, Wreath 2, and Nereus 2 now have 50% more inventory capacity. That's a good change, we like that. All beam lasers and railguns. Beam lasers here is a translation error, that is lasers. All lasers, beam and pulse, and railguns, rifled or snub-nosed, have about 10% more damage, which is kind of cool. I mean, I would argue that they're already pretty good weapon systems. Now they're getting even more buffs. If you want to consider a meta, I'm not going to say that there is a meta in EVE Echoes. I really don't think there is, or that there ever should be. But beam lasers and railguns is going to be a lot more fun now. If you're already flying something like a Daredevil, it's going to now become categorically the best faction frigate with a long stretch behind it. The Cruor and the Succubus obviously are going to be getting a lot better, higher DPS, that kind of thing. Most laser ships are actually pretty solid and well worth flying anyway, so having extra damage on them is really, really cool. Missiles, cannons, and decomposers, though, are also still getting 4% more damage, and I'm actually excited that decomposers aren't being left out, because I've been flying the Shan Yu prototype a lot recently, and I'm glad that's going to be doing a bit more damage. Reduced the explosion velocity of all large rapid missiles from 81 to 70, which is a nerf. I got this wrong in my previous video. That is a nerf. They're getting smaller explosion velocity, which means they explode slower, which means they don't apply as well to fast-moving targets. Added hybrid weapon rigs and structure rigs to the Gurustus Inquisitor. Added navigation rigs and structure rigs to the Sancha Inquisitor. Added missile rigs to the Angel Inquisitor, and removed navigation rigs from Angel Inquisitor. I'm sad that they're removing the navigation rigs from Angel Inquisitor, because Angel is supposed to be all about the speed. I'm glad that they're adding missile, though, because it kind of sucks being, in Minmatar space and flying Minmatar ships like the Talwar or the Cyclone, and just not getting missiles. But kind of sad that we lose the navigation rigs in the process. Nice to see, though, that structure rigs are added to the Gurustus Inquisitor, along with railgun ones, and the navigation rigs and that being added to the Sancho Inquisitor. When they say structure rigs, I'm wondering if that means that we're getting the hull bonus ones. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool, having things that make your structure better, so, you know, hull tanking. Not that anyone does it, but interesting. Interesting. Power grid and capacitor consumption slightly increased based on module's meta level. Okay. I think this is in regards to things like, for example, the group shield boosters. Those now actually have power grid consumption, so they're not all 1 megawatt anymore, which means, sadly, if you've been fitting large group shield boosters to frigates, you're not going to be able to do so anymore after today. The small ones have a small power grid usage, the large ones have a large power grid usage, which makes sense. It genuinely makes sense, and it's something I saw coming, but it's still a sad day. Adaptive armor hardener effect plus 33%, reactive armor hardener effect plus 6.25%, efficiency of all armor repairers and remote armor repairers and group armor repairers has been increased by 10%, adjusted the power grid required in order to do these. I still don't like the fact they've increased the power grid required for a lot of the armor... Hang on, they don't mention that they've increased the power grid consumption on armor hardeners and armor repairers. That's good. They've adjusted the power grid required for group modules, which makes sense. That's really, really good. That's really good. It means that they've listened to us here. Armor is getting better, and it's going to be more like shield, but it doesn't look like the power grid is going to be increased. Maybe it's just missed from the patch notes. We'll need to check this tomorrow. But if they have not changed the power grid consumption on the armor repairers, that's fantastic. That means that armor actually gets a decent buff this patch and doesn't have a corresponding nerf to pull it all the way back down again. If they've left the power grid untouched, I am super, super happy about this. Armor tanking, by the way, felt really good. Like, it's not exactly where it should be, but it was definitely a lot better and a lot closer to shield, and to the point that certain ships now, categorically, armor tanking is better. The Incursus Assault is the first one that comes to mind as one that I look at. That is now 100% something I will be armor tanking, and I have trained armor skills on my main characters. I'll be really happy if the power grid has been left alone on those. Enhancements have been made to some of the Dead Space modules. Ooh, I'd be intrigued to know exactly what that one means there. That will be very cool. Added new modules, Skirmish Command Burst, Armoured Command Burst, and Shield Command Burst. Of course we've got the Command Burst modules in the game now. We get to actually see those. Finally, we get some skin changes here. This is all to do with the Tier 10 ships. So like the Covert Ops skins are now the 3 Interdictor versions. The Maelstrom skins are now Maelstrom Striker skins. That suggests that it is a typo earlier. The Maelstrom is still gone. The Maelstrom Striker is getting buffs. Good. Some of the Tech 10 ship skins will now become invalid, cannot be activated or traded. We will refund players the corresponding amount of Plex. So if you had any of these, you now get some of your Plex back, which means if you brought things like the sets that contained these, you're getting some free Plex. I'm not going to read all of these, but it is sad to see there, like the Drake E-War. Looks like we're not going to be getting the Drake and Hurricane E-War ships at all. Those are ships that I've actually been looking forward to, but it looks like those are gone. Added new skin effects for Serpentis, Angel, Blood Raider, Sancha, and Guristus. Huzzah! Looks like we're getting some new skins for the faction ships. Yay! I like to see a new skin on my Dramiel. That's going to be exciting. Well, of course my others as well, but the Dramiel obviously is my favourite. Finally then, let's have a look at bugs. Fixed the issue where some corporations couldn't receive notices from their alliance, adjusted the turret hardpoint of stealth bombers, and fixed the issue where the model of large torpedoes would pass through the ship. Yay! That's nice. It means your stealth bomber is going to look a little bit better now. Modified the way damage is calculated for armor link modules. Now it'll be calculated separately based on each ship's own resistances, which is exactly how it should be, and I'm glad they've listed this as a bug fix, not as a change. That is how they should have been working since the beginning. It still doesn't make armor links good, in my opinion, but now that they're working, it means we can get accurate data and actually explain that no, it does need buffs or changes to how it works, that kind of thing. Finally, fixed an issue where some modules were not taking effect on NPC enemies, including but not limited to resistance modules, shield extenders, and passive effects on armor plates, etc. Which just means that the NPCs actually act more like players now, which is good. So, overall, we actually have some changes. I think there's a lot here that has to be said is quite exciting. Some changes to things like the scouts and different rigs, some nice buffs to various different ships. Ultimately, my main points remain the same. Nothing is getting broken by this new patch. Like, nothing here is going to be useless where it was useful before, other than the interdictors, which needed that change. They're getting nerfed down to a point they needed, except for the destroyer ones, which did not need that change, and it sadly is removing something useful from the game. So that I'm still sad about, but there are some nice additional bonuses around here. It's great, freaking fantastic in fact, to see that freighters are getting moved down to Tech 9. There's some really cool little just changes in that in the basic stuff there. I know some people are going to be saying, well, they haven't listened to us. And as I said, Joseph took great pains to say to me, Benzie, look, they have listened. They've taken that feedback, but a lot of it is pertinent to Tech 10 stuff, and a lot of it is based on stuff that is coming out later this year. This is a future-proofed patch. I know some of it doesn't make sense. Hopefully it'll make more sense as more of that arrives. They are also looking to do more frequent updates on a smaller scale. That is something that a lot of people, myself included, have been asking for. Rather than 2 big updates a year, have 6 small ones. That would be just so much better to keep that new content coming and keep it fresh. So there's a lot to be excited about here. There's a lot missing, a lot of things I would have liked to have seen that isn't here, but we can still remain hopeful for the future. And I'm going into tomorrow's patch actually pretty excited about this. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'll be back with you guys tomorrow or the day after to kind of give my opinions on, yay, actually, I think this is a good thing, we are moving in the right direction, or I'll be back to sort of, cry salty tears on the internet. Either way, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Please keep it civil. I know this patch is one of those things that has a lot of people upset. I will not tolerate swearing and sort of developer abuse and name-calling in my comment section. If you do that, I won't delete the comment. I will hide you from my channel so that your comment and all future comments you make are remaining hidden. You won't even know I've done it, which is the pure beauty of this on YouTube. So keep it civil, let's talk like adults, and actually discuss how we can move forward together with EVE Echoes as the great game that it is, and hopefully can be even better. And of course, scanning in a couple of weeks as well. Oh, it's a good time. It's a good time. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching this one right the way to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.